Hello, my name is Cassandra Blanco. I am Roman Catholic, and I welcome you to my podcast. Today, my guest is Father Edmond. He is from Malawi in Africa, and we are going to be discussing Catholicism within Malawi, the history of the country, what's going on with Christianity there, and also what is going on with Catholicism within the continent of Africa. So I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce himself and give him the floor. Go ahead, Father Edmond.
Thank you so much, Cassandra. I'm really happy and privileged to be hosted by you today, and it's quite a pleasure. I am Father Edmond Nyoka, as you've just said. I'm Rector of St. Patrick's Junior Seminary in the Diocese of Mzuzu. The Junior Seminary belongs to the Diocese of Mzuzu, but it supports students from two dioceses, Karonga and Mzuzu dioceses. So I'm Rector, that is, I'm head of the institution. The seminary is like a seedbed for students that join the major seminary in the pursuit of training for priesthood. Basically, the seminary provides secondary education with a seminary spirit. At the end of their studies, we sit down with the boys, ask them to choose, depending on how they have experienced their life here. Then they choose whether to go on with the studies for priesthood or not. Got to say, a good number from here choose to join the major seminary in the pursuit for priesthood. We have priests, many priests that have come from here, including a bishop, who have come from this junior seminary. So that's the institution that I'm heading. Over the weekends, I celebrate Mass here, then usually also drive out to help in the parishes. Not only over the weekends, but also even in weekdays when I'm asked to, I also assist in the parishes. That's a brief introduction about myself.
Okay, and so just to elaborate a little bit more, when we talk about seminary, we're talking about men who are studying to be priests. Now, in Africa, or at least in Malawi, is the minor seminary something that starts after? So we call it high school. That would be the age of 18. Or is it something usually that men go to later, like after, let's say, college? Like, what's the normal age range for men who go to seminary, the minor seminary in Malawi?
For the minor seminary, we have young boys as young as 14. They come here very early, and some of them finish at the age of 18. Then they go to the major seminary at that age. So the age can be quite low, I think, compared to yours, as you've just said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in our situation, men go after high school, so they would start at the age of 18, and then they would go to so minor seminary is considered more like a college degree, and then going to major seminaries where you can obtain a graduate degree. So I don't know if it's similar there.
This one offers secondary education. Well, for primary education, of course, we used to have preparatory seminaries before the secondary seminary education, but now preparatory seminaries are no longer there. We have the secondary education, boys from primary education, nursery, that's from nursery, primary, then as others go to secondary education, these boys come here, they receive secondary education from the seminary. Mm-hmm. So they live a seminary life, but they receive secondary education. So after this, while others go to college to obtain their diplomas, degrees, these ones choose to join priesthood after their secondary education. So they go to the major seminary to study for priesthood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's similar. There's something similar.
Yeah, there's differences, but it's just later here. And when how many men are currently in the minor seminary and major? And also, is the seminary only for your diocese or like a geographical place of the country, or is it for the whole country?
Yeah, this one is for covers two dioceses only. The Malawi has 8 dioceses. The other dioceses have their own seminaries. The other diocese that is also feeding into the minor seminary where I am is relatively younger. They have not built their own yet. So they send the students to the seminary where I am. We have about 130 this time. We have 130 students, but we're increasing the capacity because the demand is growing. Many boys would want to come here and join priesthood. So we're planning to increase the capacity. Come September 20th, we are planning to have about 190 in total students. We would want to have a capacity of 320 so we can offer more boys an opportunity to do better secondary education at the same time as they desire to be priests, so we can give them an opportunity. We don't have to lock them out. Of course, I'm not a product of this institution. I was at a government secondary school, but we can offer that opportunity to those that would want to do it here. So we're trying to expand the seminary because of the demand. Also, by the fact that it is supporting two dioceses, it's good that we expand it so that we take in the demands of the two dioceses. I cannot be very exact about the number of major seminarians in the major seminary now. I didn't really check on that one, but I know that the class that has just finished from here, they have just written their end of stay here, the final exam, this final secondary exam. We call it MSCE, Malawi School Certificate of Education. 17 have chosen to go for priesthood out of the 34. So 17 have chosen to go for priesthood, which is quite substantial, considering that they come at a very early age. They are not so old enough to make a decision, but even after their stay here, 17 choose to go for priesthood, which is it is still a good number. So we are hoping we're sending 17 to the major seminary this year.
Ah, that's beautiful. All right. So now that we have talked about the seminary experience, it's a very unique, small thing. Most people will really not understand what we're talking about. But because I worked in the church for so many years, and I've worked with so many priests and seminarians, this is something I am very familiar with. So,
Thank you.
yeah. So, if we were talking, so let's just kind of zoom out now and talk about Malawi. And so we're talking about the continent of Africa. And if we're looking at the continent of Africa, where is Malawi in Africa?
I know Malawi is quite a tiny country on the map, and it's very difficult to be noticed when you look at the map of Africa. If you you move down the map of Africa towards the south eastern part, you find there is Mozambique that has a coastal border on the Indian Ocean. To the north, there is Tanzania, and then to the southwest of Tanzania, you have Zambia. Malawi is engulfed by these three countries. The north, there is Tanzania. Then to the south, we have Mozambique. To the west, we have Zambia. It's quite tiny somewhere there. Zimbabwe, and then you move north, Zambia to the Mozambique. And I should say Mozambique has engulfed us like a baby because it goes a little north of itself towards Zambia on the west, and a little north towards Tanzania on itself, and we're somewhere in between. It's quite tiny, but if you scroll there, you zoom in, you'll be able to see Malawi there with a capital, Lilongwe.
Yeah, yeah, it's a small little country. I looked at a map earlier
Very,
today, so and it
very
wasn't
small.
even on the map. I'm like,
Yeah,
wow.
it's very small. Yeah,
Yeah.
but when you look at it, you'll find there's a lake there called Lake Malawi. Yeah, so it's
Oh,
very easy to notice the presence because of that lake.
right. That's neat. And so if we talk about Malawi, so we talked about geography, it's like southwest, or excuse me, southeast in the continent of Africa. And then,
Southeast, yes.
yeah. And if we talk about just the history, let's get into that. Like just a little bit about the history of Malawi and the last 100 years, a little bit before that, wherever you would like to start.
How, if we could start on the religious history first, because that influenced the political history of Malawi. Way before Christianity came to Malawi, Muslims came here as traders, and they established themselves on the eastern southeastern part of Malawi, especially amongst the Yawo tribe. And that explains why they are quite dominant there. Around the 1860, there was this explorer, David Livingstone from Scotland, who came to Malawi. And I would say he's the one who brought Christianity. Because after that, missionaries came to Malawi. These were Presbyterians from Scotland, Robert Ross, and others settled in the south, and then others in the north. Catholics came a little later, especially the missionaries of Africa, also known as White Fathers. That should be around 1890, if not mistaken. They came a little later. But following the visit of David Livingstone and the coming in of missionaries, this also ignited a political interest in Malawi. And so that's how the British came to Malawi, and then they formed a British protectorate and were under the British rule for a number of years until 1964, when we got independence and we moved into the multi-party democracy headed by Dr. Hastings Kamsupanda. Well, we were under one-party rule for a number of years until 1994, when we moved into the multi-party democracy. Since then, we've been ruled by the United Democratic Front Party under Dr. Bakiri Mulozi, then Democratic Progressive Party under Bingu Mutharika and his brother, Peter Mutharika. And then now we're back into, again, under the rule by the MCP, Malawi Congress Party, that ruled us for a number of years when we are under one-party rule. For your own interest, for your own notification as well, we are going to the polls on the 16th of September, in a few days from now. A few weeks from now, we'll be going to the polls to elect president and members of parliament, as well as ward councillors. The mood is set, the vibe is set, the campaigns are roaring. We're not very sure who's going to win, but it's quite competitive. That's where we are politically and religiously.
Okay. And when we talk about like just how a country expresses faith within the culture of the country. So like, for example, I have Christmas Day off of work. I have, well, I don't necessarily always have Easter, but it is a big holiday in the United States of America. What is it in Malawi? Is it similar, like in the sense that Christianity is a central part of life within the country?
Very, very, very central. Very central. We have Christmas, Easter holidays. Schools are closed. We have Easter break. We actually call them Easter break, Christmas break, so that we have time to celebrate Christmas and Easter. These are quite big. The Catholic Church runs a number of schools, and they also have holidays which the government respects. We have like the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary. We have a number of holidays that are purely Catholic, but the government respects them. So yes, it does. Not only us, even Presbyterians have their own holidays, which the government does respect, apart from the general public holidays that the government has put in place.
Oh, that's nice that there's respect for that. Yeah, here it's spring break. That's what we get, and that's not always aligned with Easter, the Easter holiday.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so it's different.
It is.
Yeah, every country is different. So let's talk now. So we talked a little bit about the history of Malawi. Now, today in Malawi, what is the religious makeup of the country?
Remember, I mentioned that the Muslims came a little earlier. They came through trade and evangelization, and they evangelized mostly one part of Malawi, which is the eastern southern part of Malawi, and they are very dominant there. So they form about 11 to 13%. Of course, quite that's debatable, but they form about that percentage of the Malawi population, mainly dominantly there. Then the Christianity is about 77 to 80% of the population. and a very small percentage is the percentage of Africa, what we call African traditional religions. The Catholic Church comprises of about 17.5 to 18% of the Malawi population, which translates to about 3.5 million to about somewhere about 4.3 million people in Malawi who are Catholics. The rest are Presbyterians, Pentecostals, Adventists, and the African traditional religionists. I think that's the composition that we have as of today. It may not be very exact because we haven't done the census this year, but it's somewhere around there. The Catholic population of Malawi, the population of Malawi is somewhere around 22 million. So it may be a little up. Even the Catholic population may be a little up to more than the figures that I've given. Similarly, the other denominations like Pentecostal, Presbyterians may be a little higher as well. I forgot the Anglicans as well comprise of a certain percentage.
Yeah. And do Catholics and the evangelicals or Protestants, however you all refer to them in your country, do they all get along? Does everyone get along?
Very well. Of course, we have differences
Okay.
mainly on the teachings. They will ask us about Mary and a number of issues, which I think is not only a Marian problem or a Marian issue. On those issues, we have questions. Why do you do this? Why do you do that? But we live extremely well side by side, especially with the Presbyterians, Pentecostals, who are brothers. We get along very well.
Oh, that's beautiful. And what about
Yes.
the mix or the relationship between Christians and Muslims in the country? What is that like?
It's also largely very well. Very well. We've had some sporadic hiccups, squabbles once in a while, very much once in a while, but we usually get along well. Not that extreme as in other parts of the world as we hear it. We have them once in a while, but we usually get along well. We live side by side as our brothers.
Oh, that's good. That's nice that there's peace with that because that's not always
Yes.
the case. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
no, we don't have much problem.
right. So
Yeah.
so in terms of the Catholicism, you had said that the missionaries had come, I think you said in the late 1800s, and
Yes.
so that was the spread of it. What has it been in terms of the spread of Catholicism since then? Not only in Malawi, just but through the whole continent of Africa. What has it been like?
If I would say through the whole continent of Africa, I think that would be quite general. But because the spread depends on where you are in Africa. But I would say in this part of Africa, the spread is quite pleasing. I know the Republic of Congo, where the Catholic population is growing tremendously, Zambia, Malawi, and other parts of Africa. So to be specific about Malawi, and maybe if I could also talk about where I am exactly, the Catholic population is growing rapidly. I'll give you an example, Cassandra, that just last week, one parish had 496 adult baptisms and confirmations. A single
Wow.
parish just last week,
My
and
goodness.
about over 100 people who
Excuse me.
left the church came back to the church. So we're
Mm.
only talking about adult baptisms, and then we're talking about adult baptisms and confirmations. I have not talked about infant baptisms. So we also have many infant baptisms. We have for children between the age of 6 and 12 or 13 who organize their own baptisms. Those that maybe they follow their friends to the Catholic Church every Sunday. Their parents are not Catholic, but they choose to go to the Catholic Church following their friends, and then we talk to their parents. They express the interest to be baptized in the Catholic Church. We talk to their parents, and usually their parents will say, no problem, if my child can be baptized. Then they are taught, people offer themselves to say, we're going to take care of these young children in their faith, and they're also baptized. So I would say kind of three, of course, of adult and infant, but you have this middle age that we also organize. So those are different figures as well. By the end of the year, that parish, which has about 496 baptisms, maybe about 800, if not more, in a year, baptisms. That's just a single parish. And the diocese has 22 parishes. So you can see how many we'll have by the end of the year.
Yeah.
It's quite growing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
No, I was going to say,
I
wow, but
thought
also, yeah, I was going to
you
ask
had
another
something to say.
question.
So
Yeah.
oh, sorry. Okay. I was home last week. I mentioned when you were greeting me that mom and dad are not very okay
Mm-hmm.
when these baptisms were taking place. A whole village, people converting to Catholicism, leaving maybe one or two. A number of
Wow.
villages, people converting to Catholicism. It's growing. It's really growing and growing very well and pleasing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And in terms of people coming to the faith, what are they converting from Protestant or other denominations in the country? Are they converting from Islam? What are they coming to? Were they just not practicing anything?
They are converting to Catholicism for a number of reasons. The Catholic Church has done a lot in Malawi, and it continues to do so. In the social sphere, we do in the healthcare, education, in the social development of the homes, like village savings. So that has a big impact on the people. People feel loved, cared for holistically.
Mm-hmm.
That's one reason. The other way would be in Malawi, in Africa, in this part of Africa, we have what we call small Christian communities. I don't know if you've heard about this before. These small Christian communities are a smaller section where people gather, they share the word of God, quite smaller under the parishes or under what we call outstations or substations under the parish. These are very important and have helped in the building of the Catholic Church in Malawi. These people gather together. They really form a family like the early church. They do a number of things. They share the word of God. When somebody is sick, they visit that person. They take care of the person. When the family is bereaved, they'll be the first to gather at the house of that person.
Mm-hmm.
They will be able to take care of that person, take care of that family, comfort them. They will really own the situation. So they're together in joys and sorrows. The other reason would be maybe our pastoral approach as the ministers. For example, here in the Diocese of Mzuzu, when somebody has died, we go right into the villages and celebrate Mass right there at the home of that person, and then we take the dead body for burial. We rarely take the body into the church, of course, because our churches are quite small. That's one reason. And then the terrain, the roads are bad.
Mm-hmm.
The people are poor to transport the remains to the churches. So we gather at the home. And while we gather there, people from different denominations gather there. And preaching is also a source of evangelization. So
Mm-hmm.
there are a number of factors that are leading to this. We also go to the villages. Most of the times when a person is sick, we go into their homes, even if it's very far. We drive, we walk, we ride through the bushes, we get there. These people feel so loved, so inspired, and others feel inspired to say, you are being loved. This is a spiritual care. We would love to join the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
so a
so those
lot
would
of
be some of the reasons.
right, a lot
Yes,
of spreading of the faith, like very
a
what
lot.
we would call evangelistic, going out and trying to
Yes, it
bring
is.
the gospel and stuff. So is are there, it sounded like you were saying that there's healthcare, there's Catholic schools, all of these
Mhm.
different things that the Catholic Church is providing. Are there infrastructure? Like there's a lot of infrastructure that has been provided by the Catholic Church, like like you're saying, Catholic schools, Catholic hospitals, stuff like that. That's within the country as well.
A lot, a lot. The Catholic Church has done a lot in the infrastructure development and as well as job creation.
Mm,
We have a number of hospitals in Malawi, schools. For your own information, I would say the Catholic schools are usually are amongst the very best. What the junior secondary education exam result not a long time ago, it came out last week. In the top 10, the majority are Catholic schools, including
mm,
our own junior seminary where I am, either in
mhm.
the top 10. So we provide good education. That's one other thing that we are doing as part of evangelization, providing quality education to the people.
Oh, that's great. And in terms
Yeah.
of priests and ministering to all of these people and the spread of the faith, are priests managing multiple parishes? So I know you've mentioned villages. I'm guessing that's just like, a group of
Mhm.
people that live in the same place and then you travel and then there's another village, another village. Am I understanding that correctly?
Mhm. Yeah, our setup is different from the West. I know in the West,
Right.
a priest would manage a number of parishes, but here, 2 or 3 priests, rarely one, manage a parish. But that parish is divided into what we call zones, not in the sense of time zones, but a geographical area.
Hmm.
And that geographical area is headed by a trained catechist. Is based right there. And under the zone were substations, we would call them village churches, where we go to celebrate Mass. So the people in that area will gather there. So we celebrate Mass in those areas on rotation. Uh, they will have the celebration of the Holy Eucharist one
Mm.
after the other. That's the setup that we have, not as an independent parish on its own. So their collection, they have collection in that place, or that is sent to the parish. Then we help them. It's the money that we use to buy gas and serve them, to administer sacraments to them. Some of the money, when we put together, we even buy iron sheets, help them build prayer houses in those
Mm.
places, and we go and visit them and celebrate masses there. These parishes are of different sizes. Others are extremely huge and very challenging. The terrain is bad. Some places are quite remote. The roads are bad, and the prayer centers distant from the main parish center. We drive. Sometimes we start off very early, maybe at 6:30 or 7, only to start mass at 10 a.m. But we're used to that. We
Wow.
know that's part of what we are going to do, because during our training we already know the setup of our parishes. So start off early, we celebrate mass at 10, and then you come back, you arrive home sometimes as late as 4 p.m. While there, you go early, but before mass, maybe around 9, you hear confessions, you can do some catechesis. After Mass, then you start another ministry. You go into the villages, visit the sick, bring the Holy Communion to the elderly. You anoint the sick or bring communion to the sick. And you have some meetings with the church leaders, and you
Mhm.
start off probably around 2 and arrive home late.
Wow.
And then that's a
So,
Sunday. Yeah.
interesting. So, like in America, we travel to the parish, and that's where we go to
Mhm.
mass. And then the priests live in a rectory, which is attached to
Mm.
the parish. But what you're saying is that you
Yes.
all spend a lot more time going out into the villages.
We live in a rectory at the parish, but we spend most of the time in the outreach.
Mm.
We spend much less in the parish rectory because much of the work is done in the villages. So almost every day a priest goes out to celebrate either funeral mass, do catechesis, administer like sacraments, like the sacrament of the sick in the villages. So we live in the rectory, yes, but we do a lot outside. We drive, walk, as I said, sometimes even ride bicycles or motorcycles, depending on the terrain and on the distance and the availability of the means of transport that you have in the parish.
Fascinating. So the priests actually in Malawi, that's not the way it is in America. In the
It
United
is
States
not.
of America, no. In the United States of America, priests are really tied down by the administrative stuff, paperwork, and
Mhm.
they spend most of their time in the parish office, at the church, but we travel there. We travel there to go to the catechism classes, to, all the things that the church offers. The priests will go out to let's say, visit the sick, like give anointing of the sick in the hospital. That's like a rare occasion that the priest leaves the rectory or the
Yeah.
church.
Yeah, we also go to hospitals to anoint the sick, but we, the majority of the people, when they're sick, we go. If they're out of hospital, we find. If they're in the hospital, we find them in the hospital. But you will usually visit them in their homes, cheer them. And when we gather at somebody, the home of the sick person, it is usually the whole community, Catholic community around that area that will come there. You give communion not only to the sick person, even to those that are there. They come there, they say, the priest is there, and you have a liturgy that is more lively. It gives hope to the person. They will sing, and you give communion to the sick as well as to the people.
Mm-hmm.
They will be well prepared to that, and are used to doing that.
Wow. So it sounds like the priests, at least in your diocese, what you're speaking about, really spend a lot of time, kind of on the missionary side, going out and being with the people. That's probably why the Catholic Church is growing so much there. That's great. Are there a lot of lay
Yeah,
ministries?
that's one reason, yes. Mm.
Yeah, exactly, because the priests are with the
Yes,
people. Hmm.
yes. As I mentioned, well, trained catechists are quite pivotal. We have church leaders at different levels, from
Hmm.
the small Christian community that I mentioned, the village church, which we call outstation church, of leaders there. They do a lot of work, a lot of groundwork. When we go there, usually we find things well organized. So we'll polish up things, we'll do things that we'll do the work that they
Hmm.
cannot do, that's more ministerial. They do a lot. We also have a number of lay groupings, a number of them, which do a lot of work as well in terms of fundraising for the church, for the running of the church, supporting the priests. Like we have a group called Women of Charity, or let's call them Women of Love. I posted something like that on my X account not long
Hmm.
ago. They there are quite many, and they do a lot for the church. They bought furniture, bought curtains, kitchenware for the priest houses, sisters. They visit the seminaries, providing what they can put together. They're quite poor, but because there are many, the little they put together becomes quite substantial. So they'll send a delegation to make these donations and support the church. So there are many very active and very important lay movements and lay ministers in the church.
Yeah. And it helps that the country is supportive of Catholicism. It's not being oppressed, so it's able to flourish and grow. Because in a country where that's not supported, it's really hard for the church to grow there. So,
Yes, in Malawi, they have no option. They have to, because the church has a voice.
mhm,
The church has had a voice. It's the Catholic Church that helped the country move from one party rule to a democratic rule. And the
mhm,
Catholic Church, for example, has always, the bishops have always written statements on governance issues in the country. And their statements are
mhm,
usually very important. Even there are many people that will say bishops are quiet now. When they don't see a statement and they're suffering, they'll say bishops are quiet. Why? Please speak out on our behalf. So the church is quite has a voice. Even the Catholic Commission for Justice and Peace has a voice, and it is really helping the people reclaim their rights, their democracy, and live a good life.
Mm-hmm.
The
That's
country
beautiful.
hears. Even
Right.
if they are stubborn, the politicians may be stubborn once in a while, but eventually they know and respect the church.
Right. And then I know we kind of breezed over just the continent of Africa because we can't put every country in the continent of Africa in the same boat. Like, for example, I
No.
did a podcast with a Nigerian Christian, and they're really having a hard time there with jihadists that are coming after the Christian population. So, but maybe if we just honed in a little bit on the countries that surround Malawi, are they also seeing a growth in Catholicism? Like, are there parts of Africa that you would say are growing in Catholicism and the spread of Catholicism?
Zambia, Tanzania, all these countries are doing just like Malawi, who are all the same. Of course, the Zambian population is relatively lower. Their land area is bigger than ours,
Mm-hmm.
but the Catholic population is growing rapidly there. I have priests there that I visit, brother priests that I visit often. They also visit me often. I know the situation in the Catholic population is growing rapidly. Equally in Tanzania, the Catholic population is growing rapidly and is very active. I know also Mozambique, the Catholic population is quite big. So in this region, yes, the Catholic population is growing rapidly. I know one notable country where the Catholic population is growing so fast is the Democratic Republic of Congo, despite the challenges they meet in terms of stability in some parts of the country. But the Catholic population is growing so rapidly. While I mentioned that so many boys are going to seminaries, of course, we are not yet there to having sufficient priests as regards the priest Christians ratio. We have missionaries from the DRC here who are serving in my diocese. As the population there and the Catholic population is growing, the vocation priesthood and other sisterhood is also growing. They are able to send missionaries to other parts of the countries
Wow.
of the world. Yeah.
Right. That's beautiful. Yeah,
Yes,
that's interesting.
it is.
When I was growing up in the United States of America, there were Irish priests that had come here to spread the faith, the Catholic faith. And
Mm.
now Ireland is not as much of a Catholic country. And so actually we have a lot more
Yeah.
Indian priests that come here
Mm.
and are spreading the Catholic faith. So it's interesting how it cycles, depending on where the Catholic Church is
Yeah,
growing around the world.
it's really interesting. I remember I was privileged to visit the US in 2012. I was just 1 year old that time. A friend of mine took me for holidays. I met this lady in a diocese bookshop called Lafayette in Indiana, and
Mhm.
was saying, "No, no, we need priests. Can you stay? Let's go. Let me escort you visit. We meet the bishop. If you could stay, you could be a missionary." But I said, "I'm just 1 year old. I didn't say bye to my bishop that I'm going to stay." So I know because she was saying there are a number of African priests as well serving there.
Yeah, yeah, and there are more
Yeah, which is
Africans
a
here
different
as well,
perspective.
right? Yeah, I've met quite a few,
Yeah.
mostly actually from Nigeria,
Mm.
which is interesting. So, at
Yeah.
least in where I'm in, which is in Florida. So the last thing I just want to talk about is just about we can't talk about like I guess the area of what's going on with just Islamic extremists and how that is impacting possibly not Malawi, but just the area. I know Nigeria that's happening, but I did see in the news that Mozambique had attacks and Somalia, ISIS is reconstituting, and the DRC too, the Democratic Republic of Congo, is also having attacks on um, Catholic, or
Yes.
I don't know if it's Catholics specifically. I don't know if it's targeted just to put Catholics. It could just be Christians in general. But do you want to just say anything about that, about what's going on, and then also just what you're seeing in Malawi, which doesn't sound like it's an issue, but I know it's on your borders. So,
It's not yet an issue in Malawi, but I would say it is on the verge because the Cabo Delgado in Mozambique is just on the other side of Lake Malawi, which is very near. Suffice to say, thanks to the regional leaders, presidents in
mhm,
this region of Africa, who are doing their best to control the spread of Islamists in this region. And we hope and pray they do not spread that much, or probably they should be controlled in that region and end it and end. Yes, Somalia in the eastern, eastern DRC, some parts of Kenya, our friends have suffered. They are here in Africa, and they are causing havoc and scaring the people. The attack is on Christians, but the attack on Catholics is huge. They are attacking the Catholic Church more probably than any other Christian grouping, probably because we are a big name to reckon, so they're attacking the Catholics more. It's quite sad. So many people are losing their lives. We hope it doesn't come to us. For us, this far, it's not bad. We don't have it yet, but we have it on our doorstep.
Right. It sounds like government, though, when there's a strong government and government response to keep that in check, it really helps, because when governments allow it to permeate, to grow, it can really.
It's difficult. It's difficult. Yeah, because it has to do with the indoctrination. You bring in, you change the mindset of the young boys, young girls to be fundamentalists, and once you do that, it's very difficult to conquer it. You have to deal with it at the earliest stage possible.
Right. Yeah, to teach people that there's beauty to life and not just to go kill yourself or something like that. Yeah. I had I did a podcast with a Nigerian, which you're familiar with, and somebody responded to that comment and said, I'm a journalist in Nigeria. He's a Catholic, and he said 2 to 4 priests a week are getting kidnapped there. So it's just really, the situation in Nigeria is very bad. So
it's horrible. It's horrible. It's really bad. I really don't know how they're going to tackle it, but we pray they have leaders who can find solutions to that.
Right.
Our friends are really suffering. They're being persecuted.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I try to do my small
come
part.
Back alive, you're lucky.
Yeah, try to do my small part, but ultimately it's going to have to be government officials that decide to protect their citizens. So, yeah, absolutely. Well, Father Edmond, is there anything else you want to share before we close the podcast about your country, about priesthood, about it sounds like you love being a priest, which is beautiful. I've seen your X feed, and I love that you post pictures of priests in the village. Looks like they're celebrating mass on a little stool. And I saw another post where you had a bishop was riding on the back of a motorcycle. He looked like he was giving.
Bishop in Nigeria. Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, you're right. You're very right. I love doing pastoral work. I love going to villages. I love meeting old people, children, youths in their daily livelihoods in their poor villages. It's so rewarding in terms of it gives you that joy. The way they welcome you, it's just heartwarming. So I love it. The Catholic Church in Malawi is growing. The population is growing. Christianity is growing. Of course, we have a number of challenges. Roads, infrastructure is not yet up to date. Some people still pray under trees in classrooms because we don't have churches. The people are poor. They cannot manage to build churches on their own, or they cannot build them that quickly, but their faith is very strong, very, very strong. In terms of the training of priesthood, we thank God and we thank all the donors that support us, who have been receiving a lot of aid that has helped us spread the gospel. So though our friends are far away, but they have and they continue to assist in the spreading of the gospel here through the help that they give us. Even in the training of priests, most of the boys that we train here are very poor, or come from very poor backgrounds. They are supported by a number of people within the country or abroad. But we thank God the people's faith is strong, and were receiving that support. So I would want to take this opportunity, since we're talking largely to a Western audience, to thank the people that support us in this part of the world, that their help is really doing tremendous work, and it is bringing people closer to God. I have, for example, in my school, the junior seminary were doing renovations of the dormitories of the boys. All the funds have come from my ex-friends, and mainly from the US and Europe.
Yeah.
And now others are supporting me to renovate and expand the chapel. There are some fundraisings. After that, we'll be looking for funds to do the desks and do more of the renovations in the school. But the people have been extremely generous. They haven't met me in person, but they're able to trust when they see my feed. So on behalf of the church in Malawi, and of course on my own behalf, I would say thank you. Since I'm speaking to the Western audience, I would want to take this opportunity to say thank you, and may God bless you and reward you handsomely.
Oh, thank you so much, Father Edmond. And I can include a link if there is anybody that does watch this that is interested in supporting some of the projects that you're working on and giving a donation. I'd be glad to include a link in the description as well.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. There is a link. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, anything that, if people feel inspired to help the Catholic Church that's growing in Africa, this is a reputable way to do it and a way to support the growing church, the Catholic Church that's growing in Africa. So we'll definitely include a link, and I will also include your X feed if anybody wants to follow the
Thank you.
yeah, what's going on with Father Ed. He has great posts. I've seen them before, and sisters,
Thank you.
and yeah. So
Yeah,
I think I saw
thank you
one
so much.
some lady singing, so it was great. So yeah, very life-giving information on his
It
X
is.
posts. Yeah.
Uh,
So, and that's
Thank you so much.
you're welcome, Father Edmund. No problem. All right. And to my audience, if you do have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section. I hope you have a wonderful morning, day, or night, wherever you are in the world. And God bless you. Bye bye.